What up, everyone? It's your boy Soju here on behalf of the Straight Chillin' Podcast, where we do those weekly horror movie reviews. Today I'm back with another video game review, this time for Inside from 2016. Now this is another game from Playdead Studios, and to start things off, I would generally recommend playing through this game. I feel like if you like side-scroller puzzle games, or if you enjoy playing through Limbo, a previous title from Playdead Studios, then I think you'll enjoy playing this game as well. Also for kids, I would offer a general recommendation. It's got a little bit of gore, it gets kind of weird at the end, but it's nothing too crazy, so it's pretty decent for kids getting into the horror genre. But before I get too far into it, let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
So as always, we are going to start off with the positives. Inside is another game developed by Playdead Studios that has an absolutely beautiful design. The cool thing about this game is it's ultimately you go side to side, left to right, and you can do some up and down stuff as well, but there's no depth to the game as far as participation goes, but the backgrounds have this depth to them that make it look like you actually can. And what it kind of reminds me of is like the old school Donkey Kong games where it was kind of that way where it was flat, but you had these beautiful kind of intricate backgrounds where stuff was going on. Obviously it's a lot more detailed now, but that's kind of what it reminded me of. So it's got that cool kind of design. I said it many times during my playthrough too, just kind of the lighting and the design of the buildings and the architecture and everything like that. It's kind of got this Batman the animated series kind of look to it as far as like the lighting goes and kind of like the edges of everything. It's kind of got that like Art Deco kind of style, but it also has this blend of like dystopian kind of reality, and it kind of reminds me of like Portal and Portal 2, where some things seem very sleek and modern, but some things are also kind of like decrepit and worn down. And so it's got this cool blend of futuristic while at the same time kind of dystopian future that just lends itself to a really like beautiful and interesting design. And kind of jumping off of that, this isn't a scary game as far as horror games go, but what it is it's very strange. It can be quite disturbing at times, and that's including some of the death scenes that we get from our main character, which is something that we saw in Limbo as well. Some really brutal deaths, but that was a lot more cartoonish. This one is less so, and so it can be really brutal at times. It's really disturbing, brutal, and really just unnerving as well. Some of the things in this game just kind of really got under my skin and bothered me. The way some things move, the designs of some of the extra creatures and characters is just really unnerving sometimes. And it could just be me, but I think they definitely got what they were going for in some of these designs. It's got this really particular mood and atmosphere. Like I said, it's got this kind of dystopian future look to it, and based on that, it does a pretty good job of like world building as well. This is another game where there's no dialogue similar to Limbo, but I feel like the story is much more developed here than it was in Limbo, and that was one of my negatives against Limbo. I feel like here you're able to imply a lot of what's going on, a lot of the rules to kind of the bad guys that you're kind of dealing with in this game, and what's so terrible about them and what's so terrible about this world, even without any kind of dialogue or anything like that. So they do a great job of building up this world, of building this mood, of building this atmosphere that's just quite unsettling, and it really is a type of place or future that's really uncomfortable and not scary in a tension kind of way, but scary in a unnerving reality type of situation. Some really dark stuff going on without trying to spoil too much. This is a game that, even though I dropped the spoiler warning, I definitely don't want to spoil for you. It's one of those things where you should experience it for yourself, whether you play through the game or even just watching a playthrough. being able to experience these things without seeing them is another thing that makes the game great, because ultimately it is very memorable. I will remember the ending and some of the things that this game did, and I think that that should definitely be attributed to the positive as well. But jumping into some of the negatives, because I feel like I don't love this game as much as many people seem to love this game. The puzzles, I thought there was quite a lack of variety in them. Nothing ever seemed to challenge me a lot. It seemed like one of those games where some of the puzzles, like, it was absolutely necessary to die. And it felt like that actually a lot of the times. And that became very tedious because it was this like artificial difficulty almost, because like, oh, you die once, you die twice. And then like you understand, and it's actually not really that hard. You just didn't really understand the rules of the puzzle. So I felt like there was kind of some artificial difficulty built in and not a lot of variety in the puzzles. And since you die so frequently, it feels like there's kind of no consequences to the game. It's one of those things where you almost just kind of rush in just to see kind of what the rules are real quick and then die a couple more times. And so there's no real consequences. And for such a short game too, it just lacks a lot of like replayability to me. There's not a whole lot of things I want to go back for in this game, to even like some of the discovering some of the extras and unlockables and stuff like that. It just doesn't really intrigue me that much. And it's another one of those games, I don't know why they do this, but there's no manual save. And even though it's never really a problem for me, you know, like reloading where you came back, it's just kind of unsettling to me not to know exactly, you know, if you have saved, where even the save points are, any kind of indication of a save. I don't know. I just find that's very strange to be built into so many games, and especially, you know, Playdead Studios, they kind of hang their hat on that. They don't want to include any kind of manual save. And I'm still wrestling with the ending of this game. It seems I understand what they're going for, and as a positive, I gave it, you know, for the memorability, or like being memorable is important, but at the same time, I feel like some of the choices they made, I was unprepared for, and not necessarily in a positive way. I feel like some of the things just came out of left field, and especially the ending, the way it ended, just laying there and having no real kind of resolution, to me was, I don't know, a bit of a negative. I'm still wrestling with that now, and maybe that'll ultimately turn into a positive the more I wrestle with it and the more I'm thinking of it. But so yeah, I guess those are my main thoughts on Inside. So let's go ahead and get into the final score.
Overall, I gotta give this game a 3 out of 5. I thought it was pretty decent to play through a couple of times, but I definitely don't think it's the masterpiece that everybody else seems to think it is. If you're interested, I have a ton of Inside gameplay right here on our YouTube page, and if you're interested in more horror gaming, check us out on Twitch at twitch.tv/straightchillingpodcast, where we play a new horror game every month. If you've played through this game, let me know what you think in the comments below. And until next time, everyone, please don't forget to keep chillin'.